All right, we are going to go ahead and call the meeting to order at 6 p.m. And we will start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I'll now do a roll call and conflict of interest check. Trustee Sickinga.
Here, no conflict.
Trustee Sanders.
Here and no conflict.
Clerk Samuelis.
Here, I will recuse myself from voting on the lawn care RFP, but I would like to participate with discussion.
Okay. Treasurer Metz.
Here, no.
Trustee Abbott.
Here, none.
Hold that towards you. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Same, here, none.
And Trustee Nolte.
Present, none.
Supervisor Scott, here, no conflicts. We'll now move into approval of the agenda. Are there any additions, deletions, or changes to the agenda?
Yes, I wanted to ask if we could switch action items A and B so that we consider the approval of the Washtenaw County Road Commission agreement first, because Scott is here as agenda number 7, agenda point number 7, and then that links agenda point number 7 and 8A, since Scott is really here to speak to the decision about the roads.
Okay, so I hear a motion to switch action items A and B. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll move into a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say nay. All right, the motion carries. Any other additions, deletions, or changes to the agenda? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
So moved.
It's been moved by Trustee Abbott. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Treasurer Metz. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll move into a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say nay. The motion carries and the agenda is approved as amended. We're now going to move into our first call for public comment. However, before I call anybody up, we are going to take a point of privilege for the board for just a minute, which I know is a little awkward, but you'll understand here in just a second. And I'm going to turn things over to Clerk Samuelis.
Thank you, Supervisor Scott. I just wanted to I wanted to inform the board and community of the passing of Lois Beerbaum. She passed away April 17th, 2026. In the short 4.5 years of living in Dexter Township, she became extensively involved with her new community. Within her first week of moving from Canton Township to Dexter Township, September 21, Lois became an active community servant at her local Dexter Township Hall, becoming a dedicated election chair and election worker. She was appointed board member to the local roads committee and board of review, and volunteered at the township's yearly cleanup day and weekly film plastic collection. Lois also volunteered every Sunday with her close friends collecting polystyrene, styrofoam, and film plastic with Recycling Solutions Dexter, was a member of the Dexter and Chelsea Senior Centers, where she assisted those in need as a Medicaid and Medicare counselor, as well as faithfully attended the open forum in Dexter as the recording secretary. We are grateful for her dedication to our community, her selfless service, and the lasting impact of her contributions to Dexter Township.
Thank you. And I'll ask everyone, sorry, what was there someone say something?
I just said thank you.
Oh, and I'll ask everyone to join us in a moment of silence before we go into the rest of public comment. Thank you. We'll move back into public comment.
Joseph Spiegel, 7905 Sauer. I'm here on my own behalf and as a citizen, not on any committee. I'm here to support the fertilizer ordinance and support the farm and open space requests. With respect to the fertilizer ordinance, I would suggest that an enforcement policy, practice, and procedure, along with an anonymous tip line. I know Trustee Abbott has mentioned we do have a semi-anonymous tip line, but I just don't think it's enough, given the fact that neighbors get upset when a neighbor turns them in. And we live in a society today which is different than it was 75 years ago. And I think that as part of enforcement, I would suggest some policy, practice, and procedure advising vendors with respect to fertilization. I think that would be simple, inexpensive, and on a practical matter, it will possibly alleviate the blowback. Many people want the fertilizer ordinance, but there's the NIMBY problem. It's great, but not in my backyard. I want to fertilize. So if we advise the vendors of this, then I think it may assist in enforcing a very, very, very good ordinance. That's all I have to say today. And I would be willing to make some sort of agenda item to create some sort of small committee to outline enforcement procedures or possibilities of enforcement procedures that are fair, just, and equitable, and are not expensive, and may assist Fletcher, who's not here today, in his daily activities, because he may look like 5 people, but he's only one. So thank you.
Thank you. Additional public comment.
Good evening, Supervisor Scott, members of the board. My name is David Lossing, the Director of Government Relations for the Huron River Watershed Council. So here to answer any questions that the board may have on the fertilizer ordinance later in the agenda. So just here for reference sake. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Any additional public comment? All right, seeing no one moving to the microphone, we'll move on with our agenda to the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved by Trustee Sickinga, seconded by Trustee Abbott. Since it's a consent agenda, we don't move into discussion. So all of those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say nay. The motion carries. And I do want to say thank you to the fireworks folks that were just on the consent agenda for getting this in much, much earlier and giving us more time to consider. So, and for putting on the shows. Thank you very much. Moving on in our agenda, we'll move on to presentations. And we are joined today by Scott Burby, who's the District 3 Foreman for the Washtenaw County Road Commission. As you know, we'll be discussing the Road Commission work. And so we wanted to allow Scott the opportunity to introduce himself and then for us to be able to ask him some questions if you have any.
Okay, evening board. First off, I met with Lonnie back in December and gave him the good news that the road commission increased the local match from 2 million to 4 million. This ultimately increased Dexter Township's match from 71,000 to 142,000. That also posed a problem. You had only had 100,000 in the budget for continued maintenance. So I threw together some roads that were all previously set aside. I don't want to say excluded, and got the estimates in, and we can touch every single unpaved dead end section of road, with the exception of one that had previously had an improvement on it in 2016. Have you all had a chance to review that? And is there any outstanding questions for myself.
And this is all explained in this, on
Page
this-
6, it's page 65. I
But it
don't
was
know.
also.
Yeah, I don't know why it was also printed out, but it's the same as what was in the packet on page 65.
Scott, I didn't.
Is that the? Yes.
Explaining, I don't think I CC'd you on it.
So does this go on to what's on 67 and 68?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the document that Karen was just talking about explains a change, what would be a change in position for the township. And then the documents that start on page 66 are the actual proposal and information about the work from the road commission.
Okay,
Yeah.
are we discussing that yet?
Well,
Oh,
so let me just summarize in brief for anybody that's watching and doesn't have this piece of
Mhm.
paper in front of them. So for the last 5 years, we have excluded local neighborhood roads, ones that don't connect, but are used only by residents. So their neighborhood, there might be a subdivision road or whatever. We've excluded those from the local roads program. And that the idea was that we're repairing the roads that are public good, and the ones that are used privately by residents and their guests would not be included in the program. Scott with the larger match now, we have the funds to do 100% of the unpaved neighborhood roads. So we can do 100% of those roads. What we can't do are the paved roads. And so what we're proposing is to approve this, to change our policy, to repair the unpaved neighborhood roads, and then reconvene the local roads committee and develop a policy whereby we provide some kind of support for the paved neighborhood roads. The issue being that virtually all of the paved roads that are local roads are neighborhood roads, and they're very expensive to fix compared to the gravel roads. So we can't really, we decided that it was not within our means to include those paved neighborhood roads in the program. Well, now we're realizing that there's going to be a gap there's going to be more funding than we need for the unpaved roads. And so we want to come up with but not enough to pay for the paved roads. So we want to reconvene the local roads committee to develop a policy to help us figure out how to equitably distribute those available funds to help those paved neighborhood roads.
Yes, so to stem off of that, we do have something coming from the state of Michigan in the form of neighborhood roads fund. It's earmarked in state of Michigan's budget for zero because they're still working through litigation. We don't know what the funding is as far as the amount. We do know that it does not require a match. So when I met with Karen and Lonnie, that kind of opened up that option to bring the committee back together and start looking at options to where, what would we do if we have this funding? And how could you help the other roads? Because the road commission would like to partner and be able to say, okay, we want to go to these roads that you have, if you had somebody that was able to apply for it and you worked it out with the priority system. So then we'd have a better idea of where the township would prefer to go, and then we're on the same page. So that was this was the kickoff. We do not know, once neighborhood roads funds kick in from the state of Michigan, we don't know if we're keeping the local match program. So we're not sure which way it's gonna go, but ultimately, we're expecting a fair amount of money from it. We just don't know what it's gonna be yet, so.
And we, just to put some emphasis on it as well, because the township has invested so heavily previously, and now we're in more of a maintenance mode, we're able to use those funds. So even if it is a match program next year, our goal was, maybe we only need to spend 50,000 on maintenance next year, and we still then have another 100-ish thousand. How do we make sure that we're maximizing our match every year to get the money back from the road commission? And it seemed, even though we haven't been able to do it before, that we will be in a place where some of those paved neighborhood roads may be the place to go. So we just want to start this and be ready so that when we have those funds available, we can be investing them in our community as much as possible.
And what drove this was when they increased it. Wiley Road was at that time, it was in its infancy stages, but it's still at 70,000, it's 71,000. And if you did just the scheduled maintenance on Wiley Road, we'd be splitting the cost of 71,000 50%. So you'd have been spending 35,000 of the local match, but potentially leaving 100,000 untouched that you could have used, you left money on the table. So that was where this came from. So it was picking and kind of picking apart the roads. I was trying to get them a budget friendly. What can we do bare minimum? A lot of these roads we need gravel on. That's the main thing. So if we can get the gravel in there, then it gives the crews something to work with for maintenance. So.
And then if we do that, when somebody writes us a letter, like Jim Drolet wrote us a letter and asked us to do the Portage Lake Road
Yep.
project, we don't know whether to say yes or no, because we don't know about all the rest of the paved roads and what condition they're in and what they would cost and all of that. So we wanna have a policy, so we have a way to respond to requests like this.
That was going to be my next point, was that you have supplemental material on your desk from Jim. I told him that we would pass that out and then also let him know what the plan or the proposal was for tonight. So we'll move into questions. Do the board members have questions for Scott?
I do. I've been going to the last number of county commission meetings, and it's really interesting for me to hear the public comments about tree removal along Werkner Road as well as North Territorial Road. And when I was looking at this, I noticed that forestry is listed many times
Yep.
in all of the different roads that you'll be tending to. And I was wondering what it means and how you think about tree removal and the protection of trees along these roads.
Okay, thank you. That's a good question. As far as local roads, when we propose anything that says forestry, the main thought is clearing the canopy height for project functionality. If we bring a dump truck in there and he raises the box up to 30 foot, 25 foot, you're taking tree branches down, you're damaging the tree at that point in time. So not only are we doing the project functionality, but we do open it up a little bit, which allows some more sunlight in for the winter time. And then you're almost seeing 10+ years where you don't even have to do any kind of canopy work. The reason we say forestry is because there are times when you come across a dead tree. And if I only had an agreement that said we were doing canopy and that neighborhood resident said, well, can you take this out while we're here? Well, I don't have the legal right to take that out because your township board only agreed to do this with this money. So I'm glad we clarified it, but I like to do a broader statement just so we can make sure that we can cover all those bases.
So it's just dead trees.
If we had we have had trees where they come out of a bank
Mhm.
and you can't cut the top off, so you need to remove the whole tree because it's leaning out over the road. So there's certain instances where we would need to take the whole tree, but it's very selective. That's why we focus on just canopy work, which is exactly what you've seen if you've driven Wiley Road, Fleming, Madden Road, Colby, Donner. We did all of those, and that was just the straight up clearing the canopy out.
Thank you.
Yep.
Great question.
Additional questions?
So Laura touched on the majority of my questions here, and I'm not a novel. I've been paying attention to the road work that's been being performed. I know the majority of it is on paved roads, and I realize they're costly. And there's three things. There's the weather, we can't control it. There's traffic, we can't control it. Even with having a one single hauler, you still can't control it. Garbage truck can roll down that road, they have every right.
Yep.
Not to pick up garbage, but they could. But number three, trees we can control. And I have seen, you have done a fantastic job, and I've definitely been paying attention to the tree removal prospects. But, there's the necessary versus the convenience. Okay, necessary public safety to all that use the roads, bicyclers, cars, people that are walking. And then there's the convenience, road integrity, like you stated, the canopy where you can let the sun through. And I just, it gets concerning when you drive down a road and you see that everything's open up, and then you can definitely compromise the health of the tree, the integrity of the tree. I appreciate that you did reference when you need to dump. Those trucks are long and they need a height span, so it doesn't damage the tree. But is there any way, I don't even know if this is appropriate or if this would be something that would be in a road committee question, but before road repairs are performed, especially when forestry is involved, can you give us an idea of the trees that will be trimmed? And I ask this because, we've all seen it. We've all seen the tractors that drive down the road. Trimming isn't, these trees aren't trimmed anymore. Now you see the tractor, you see an oversized brush hog, they pop it up on a 90 and they just obliterate these trees. And that's not doing any good to the tree other than bring disease or kill the tree. And yeah, I'm a fan of trees.
Yeah, I can tell.
So,
The referencing the boom mowers, that's not what we use to clear the canopy. We use a certified licensed contractor, and currently it's Amstutz, and they use Senebogen, they use the equipment, they wash the equipment when they're done moving from road to road. They follow all the protocols, even for anything that have to do with oak wilt. They follow that closely. So that's part of the reason why we like to use the certified contractor, because then we can make sure that they're following the best practice. The boom mowers that you see, that's just standard maintenance going down the road, just trying to keep the right of way clear, because that is the only option we have, because they tried to use a spray option, I believe, years ago, and that didn't go too well. So then we're left with just mechanical clearing, so.
I appreciate your comments and actually being able to speak. Because also I just want to say, trees filter out pollutants from road runoff. I mean, they absolutely are completely beneficial. So while I understand there's necessary tree removal, the convenience part is what I've definitely been paying attention to. So I'm just going to continue paying attention. But I will say that on the corner of Island Lake Road and Dexter Town Hall Road, I was behind, I believe it was KBK when you were subcontracting with them. They did boom cut all of those trees. They're evergreens, they're pines, on the corner of a farm. And I was coming the opposite way and they spit some massive, branches at me. And I'm glad they didn't blow out my window, but it left some pretty significant dents in my car. So it's also, safety when they are doing that work, as well as, again, the health of the tree. And if you look at those trees, I mean, they're kind of starting to come back, but I don't know.
Okay. I can pass that along to the supervisor that handles the contractor, so.
And I mean, currently, just so I understand this totally, we are under the WCRC policy where this township, and a lot of townships focus on the safety within the right of way through the WCRC, right? We don't have any tree ordinances as of yet, or,
Not yet.
okay.
I think that's something that we can look into. Mhm.
But I did want to acknowledge that a couple of years ago, we had some oak wilt that was introduced in the road commission easement on a local road, and the road commission actually, we had offered to cost share the treatment of the oak wilt, but the road commission actually just did the whole thing. So just thank you, road
Yes.
commission, for doing that and acknowledge that the road commission.
That was on Waterloo Road, yep. I think there was 3 trees that we had removed, and then we even cut the stumps out with the hook and
And I
removed
think-
everything.
And I think that was pre-Amstutz.
No, it was Amstutz,
That
yep.
happens.
Any additional questions?
I have 2 quick questions. When you go through and remove trees and you have trunks that are the size of this table and they're sitting there stacked up, do you come back and get those? Or this happened out by my house and a lot of residents were going there with their chainsaws, cutting the tree up, but it wasn't always safe what they were doing, like just in traffic. And I'm like, should they be doing that or you come back and pick them up?
So that depends on the project.
Okay.
So, I'll just reference Hankard Road, for example, in that project, in the scope of that project. The tree removals were in that, and then also the stump grinding was included, but the contractor, they didn't have the equipment to do the stump grinding and to haul the trees away, so they stacked the trees there. They offered the residents if they wanted it, they could come get it. Anybody that stops when they're working, they tell them that you need to talk to the property owner, because
Yeah.
it's that property owner's, technically they can take it if they want it. So then they would come back. Now, if they missed one, we can,
No, no.
okay, yeah.
Residents were parking with their chainsaws and their splitters and, Hankered. And I'm like, ooh, like.
We
need
see
some
that
help.
on a lot of, we see it on unpaved roads that are
Yeah.
out in the rural areas, but yes, Hankard is not the one doing that.
Yeah, yeah, and no, it's all for you, I don't care if the residents, I was just wondering. And then my second question is what do we anticipate, and I know we don't have an answer for this, but we have a couple HOAs right now determining whether to do special assessments on their private roads. What's our word to them? We don't.
Private roads won't be eligible for
Yep.
anything.
Private
Under-
roads can't.
Under statute, they can't.
But
Even
I-
if we wanted to, we could.
Okay,
But I would like to consider, one thing I would like to do is have the local roads committee consider its charge
Yeah.
and consider whether it would want to expand its charge to include private roads advice.
that was,
And I think we also need to have a policy on when the township will undertake a special assessment district for private road repair, because there's a lot of criteria that have to be met to execute that special assessment district. And I think we need to have some policy in place that says residents will have done X, Y, Z
Yeah.
so I think that's something else that the local roads committee, if we expand their
Yeah.
charge, could.
I agree. That
could
was gonna be
help
one of
with.
my things to include it. We have a lot of private road people out there, and not only a policy, just to help them understand, help them how to get a road agreement going for their neighborhoods. There's just a lot of lost. I mean, I started that a couple of years ago and then it was too much with other projects. But it seems to be resurfacing in the last 4 months or so.
Yeah, so I
I'm a
thought
proponent of making that part of the roads.
I would like to have the local roads committee consider a policy for distributing the road repair fund, the local road repair funds. And then look at their charge and consider private roads and whether we want to approve their expanding their charge to include private road.
And we'll have the committee discussion on next month's agenda.
Cool.
Any other questions for Scott?
Thank you.
Scott, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good
Thanks for
evening.
coming.
All right, we're now going to move into our action items. The first item is to consider approval of the Washtenaw County Road Commission agreement for the 2026 road repairs. That's what we were just talking about. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve it for what, 142, 179, $142,700 or $179.
I think it's
Is that not?
$146,821 is on the.
Oh,
back
there it
page.
is. Next page.
It's been moved by trustee Nolte. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by trustee Abbott. We'll now move into discussion.
A lot of roads being handled this year. I mean, a lot.
Yeah, everyone remembers, but it probably bears repeating that the maintenance schedule included treating the heavy used roads, of which we have 3, Wiley, Huron River Drive, and McKinley, every 5 years, and the lower use roads every 10 years. And they've all been addressed in the last 4 years. So really, in a way, none of them are up, although we do have Wiley on the in this agreement. And there will be a lot of traffic on Wiley because of the roundabout repair, that was the subject of the last. But when we talked to Scott and Lonnie and I felt like we'll let the road commission decide on the timing of the Wiley Road repairs, whether they do it after or before the.
Is it generally planned to be after the construction?
Yeah, during the project, and then we'll come back and do the actual township work later.
So do they go back and do maintenance on, like, for example, I live on Quigley. And at the beginning of Quigley off of Dexter Town Hall Road, there's potholes like crazy. Now, and that's at the very beginning of it. Does that get repaired then regularly?
That's standard.
Okay, that's gonna be,
The break, started getting back out of the graders, so.
okay.
Plugging our way through.
Okay, so that's not included in these kind of special, yeah, attention. Okay.
And what are you gonna do when it comes to general maintenance? Madden Road was one of the last ones that was repaired, so it's one of the newer rebuilt roads, and it's the moon on several areas. So are you gonna bring out aggregate and fill those holes, or are you just gonna grade what's there? Okay,
That's 7 of those done today.
okay,
So it's just a matter of trying to get through all of them. We only have 2 graders,
I get it.
so. And of course, and depending on how severe the road is, that could even slow the grader down too, as far as time, how many miles they can get done.
And please, just why do you grade a day before rain? Because
It's always the question.
I wish I was on the road committee or
Question.
previous ERCs. I understand the idea behind it. You grade, it rains, it packs in those potholes. Actually, you grade, we drive down this beautiful road and then we say, we'll see you tomorrow, pothole.
Obviously, depending on the weather. I didn't grade road on a 40% chance every day, we wouldn't get anything. So it's
Okay.
almost like, kind of like gambling, and sometimes they just have to try it. Typically on our roads that have newer limestone or newer gravel, they can actually take a little bit
Yeah.
of moisture versus the roads that have maybe
Nothing.
3 inches of a lot of fines versus the larger aggregates. On our rain days, we try to go more to Linden because they have a lot of sandy subbases, so.
We support that.
I appreciate hearing that though, because I thought that was just routine. You grade before rain,
No.
because I will tell you, we all drive down the road and, some people have trailers and trucks that they drive down the road. We take all that material that's slapped on our vehicle, we wash all of that down at the car wash. So I mean, it's just deceiving the purpose of having the material on the road because we take it away. I just thought that was, maybe our road is just unfortunately graded before all the rain. I don't know.
Sometimes they,
Okay,
I look at the weather cards, I watch them, and then there's times that we get more rain than what was expected, and I just have to hang my head because I made that decision.
well, you answered my question. Sometimes you've graded and it hadn't rained and I'm like, yes, the road commission, it bypassed us and we have a beautiful road. That's nice to know, because I thought it was your policy and I was like, seriously, why?
Any additional discussion? All right, hearing none, we'll move into a vote. Because it is a financial decision, I will call the roll. Trustee Nolte,
Yes.
trustee Abbott,
Yes.
treasurer Metz,
Yes.
clerk Samuelis,
Yes,
trustee Sanders.
Yes.
Trustee Sickinga,
Yes.
supervisor Scott, yes. So the motion is adopted. We'll now move into acceptance of financial transactions. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved by Abbott, seconded by Metz. Any discussion? I do want to mention there is a printout of this that's a version. It's the exact same numbers, I believe, but also includes the fund balances. And Clerk Samuelis, as you all know, we've switched over to BSNA Online as opposed to the .NET version. And so I think it was probably just a different checkbox There's a lot of different
Yeah.
check boxes.
It's, yeah. I found it on a page I didn't know
Thank you.
existed. So yes, so I
Thank you.
apologize
Thanks, Beth.
for not having that info.
So we are all still learning. The estimate, I will say it's great, but everyone's still learning where all those check boxes are. So this version is updated with those fund balances. Any discussion?
On the recording secretary, does that include the new software? That's what I thought.
I noticed that too. I
Yeah.
was gonna highlight that.
This isn't really a question about the transactions, but I mentioned this, I sent you guys an email that I mentioned in the fire fund, which is on page 4 of the printout on everybody's desk, the property tax collection rate is lower than in the other funds, you know, like in the general fund, it's 90, almost 100%. And I don't know if that was because of a budget error, but anyway, the fire fund is the fire fund revenue is $100,000, almost less than we budgeted. And the expenses were $150,000 more than we budgeted. And so I was just wondering, I think we should probably look into that and understand why that happened, because that gives us a faster burn rate for the balances.
I think we'll need to double check too. It may be that we need to check the payments to make sure that they're coded, right? Because we do some as quarterly for fire.
Yeah, but this is the
No.
year-end report, you know, so this is just showing what we paid for the whole year. I mean, you know, page 4 of 8, that's.
Yeah.
So it's just showing that we were over expended for the year. And if I can't remember if I prepared this budget or you know, but if I prepared it, I remember doing an adjustment for the fire expenses to inflate it because the fiscal years don't align.
Right.
And I remember looking at what the fire department said what we said our budget was going to be and all that. So I'm surprised. I mean, maybe I just made a mistake, but I would be surprised that it, that's 10%, that's 10% over budget. And I know our expenses didn't go up by that much.
Yeah, I think that's what I mean though, that we'll have to check back for, because the
Yeah, something.
first quarter of the new fire budget is higher than last year's by, I think it was 11%, right? Is the increase over. And so it could be that calculation was just,
Oh, well, I did do 3 quarters at last year's rate and 1 quarter at a higher rate, and it was probably it probably assumed a 5%
Yeah.
increase. So that would account for a little bit of it, but that's more than that. And that's what I mean. It's like, I just wonder, I just want to understand what happened. And then I want to redo the forecast so we know when we're going to run out of money in the fire fund.
yeah, the extra spend, which again, I like to say this every time we talk about it, was intentional. We did this intentionally when we made the decision to renew the millage as opposed to increase it. Yeah, I think we can dig into that.
Yeah, we can talk about it.
And Raina will be in here soon too.
What?
Raina?
Hey,
That is the hard part with their fiscal year ending and ours still having that's what I meant by a quarter. I didn't mean that we had paid something incorrectly. I just meant that we had a quarter of payment that was under the new,
we may
as
even
opposed to the.
orders, because if we pay on January 1st or,
Yeah.
so.
Any other discussion around the financial transactions? All right, hearing none, we'll move into a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say nay. The motion carries. We'll now move into consideration of the township photo contest. That's on page 93 of your packet. I did a quick write-up. I know we've talked about this for a few months. As I had indicated in my report, I think 2 months ago, wanted to wait until we had finalized the 2027 budget. This item would essentially come from community engagement, just the miscellaneous line there. And the idea behind it, was really just to try to get some art here in the building now that we've got the remodel done, and to share some art from local artists. I'm in a Facebook group for North Lake, and there is a photographer there that posts some absolutely incredible photos. And I've seen them all over different Facebook groups as well. So I thought it'd be really nice to be able to highlight some of those and the beauty of the township here in the building. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the Dexter Township Community Photo Contest.
I'll second it.
Right, it's been moved by trustee Sickinga, seconded by trustee Sanders. And so now we'll move into discussion.
Or when, how do I ask this? When people submit the photos, are we hanging them up and having one grand winner? Or are we not hanging them up and only having one grand winner?
We would only have, well, we could have multiple winners that we lit. Like if we wanted to print 3 photos to hang up, we could do that, but we won't hang all of them up.
Yeah.
We will select
From that.
from the ones that are submitted.
Okay.
But the idea here too is that they would grant, so maybe it's a photo that we don't print and hang up because they didn't win, but maybe it's something we use on the website or to highlight it.
What's the budget we put for this? Do you remember? Does anybody
The
remember?
miscellaneous budget, I think, is $1,000. So it's not a lot, just to frame it. Yeah.
Framing's expensive.
Yeah.
How big will the photo be?
I think we get to determine it. Yeah.
Want to be able to.
I think it depends on, but it also
The
depends on if,
resolution.
what's turned in, what the resolution is. Do we want to hang it between those panels? Do we want to hang it on the bigger wall? All things for us to consider once we get the submissions.
I think a lot of it's based on resolution. I think it's a nice idea.
Mhm.
I hope there's a whole bunch of submissions.
Can anyone submit?
Anybody?
Anyone can submit. They don't have to live here to submit, but the photos have to
Has to
be
be.
from Dexter Township.
And staff and board and committee members. I know I already asked this, but I want to ask it again.
Yes, we did allow anyone to submit. If staff or board members submit, we would just not let them help choose who the winner is. If theirs is nominated too. Any other discussion?
What's your time frame?
The idea here was to have them submitted
Oh, here. May and
May
June.
through June. And then for us to bring it for a decision. Any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll move into a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say nay. The motion carries. We'll now move into lawn RFP review as our final action item. This is a substantial portion of your packet, as well as some supplemental material that was sent to the board in advance and also on the table. This is the first time that we have done the RFP from the RFP preference resolution. So what I opted to do, especially since it was the first time, is to provide you all with the scoring sheets and the submissions, because those submissions contain what could be potentially proprietary business information, because we ask things like wages and information like that. We did not put that information in the public packet, so that's why it's in front of you on the table here. But I did want to provide the board with all of the information so you can see how that process worked, since it was our first time doing it. I will.
Is there a summary of all of the scores somewhere? Not just the, did you guys do a table
Not of the preferences. It's just on the top of each of the documents. There is a table in the packet of all of the other information from the bids. I think because this is a bigger topic and would be hard to make a motion without discussion, we will do discussion first. And then if folks want to make a motion during that discussion, that would be in order.
This includes the cemeteries, right?
Yes.
So did you guys have a plan in place for how you were going to, since the cemetery is by statute under the purview of the clerk, how, if we selected Stamboulalis, how would we ensure appropriate separation of duties and oversight of that contract? Because you can't oversee your own business, so I don't, I see that it's the lowest cost bid and I see that it's the highest price bidder, but my mind is, I'm just wondering, how do we even do that with the statute that makes, we can't change the statute. So I'm more used to, if you run for office, like if the president just disinvests in the things that the federal government, that even though they may be better, even though the president's businesses may be better and cheaper, they just don't do business because there's no way to build in those separation of duties. And I'm trying to figure that out. Like, how would we do that? And I don't know if you guys talked about that, or what was the plan for that?
No, I will say because there was an internal bidder, we did not discuss anything about them. So the bids were kept on a separate server that only myself, the office administrator, and the office assistant had access to until everything went out publicly. And we very specifically did not have discussions about it in the executive committee meeting. This is just, again, just brainstorming it. We don't have a policy. I think that's something that we could, if that were the direction folks wanted to go, I think we could institute that, and I would be happy to be, for the supervisor to manage either the entire portion of that or just the cemetery, whatever the board's, if that's what you're asking, Karen. Like, I'm willing to do that. I don't. But no, we have not had a discussion about it.
Nor would we, because I kept a very arm's length. I put in a bid because I was asked, and I received it multiple times through the email. But however, wherever direction the board wants to go, I'm completely fine. But I do think that is a very appropriate question, and I would delegate it to her. We can make another policy to make certain that that arm's length still is a factor.
Trustee Nolte.
I'll give my standard comment, and it's, again, it's nothing personal. This is a policy issue that I personally do not believe that the township should employ family in any needs. I mean, I haven't changed in that in 5 years, and I still believe that. It is strictly a policy issue. There are other things that come into play that I just don't think it is a prudent thing to do, is to hire one of the board members' families or their own business to work in the township. I don't think it's right. Last year, 4 years ago or something, you excluded yourself because of conflict of interest, which that was, fine. And then last year it came back and we decided not to, and now we're back here again. I think at some time we really need to address a policy of, are we going to consider this? It becomes a very awkward conversation. It becomes very awkward in the office. It becomes awkward out in the public. When do we address a policy to handle this decision once and for all is my question. And I just don't think it's a proper thing to do. There's legal things to do, and I don't want to use the word moral, but right now I can't think of another word things to do. And I just, in my heart of hearts, I do not feel it's right.
Additional discussion?
And I'm not at, I hear you.
Yeah, it's.
And I
it's not
appreciate it. I
personal
know it's
to your
nothing
business.
personal.
It's not.
But what I will say is, and I'm not advocating for my company in any means. I mean, number one, I know how we would take care of the township. We did take care of the township in 2020. And the majority of this board did vote for our company to take care of it yourself. And I've just looked at the past 5 years and I'm also a taxpayer. So I want to clear that
But-
too. Clerk's hat off, clerk's hat off.
Can I?
Fine.
Can I
Hold
say
on,
that
hold on,
real
let her
quick?
finish. Yeah, hold on, I got it.
So just watching, and I'm not pointing fingers at companies, but, I feel very strongly and I do uphold, an environmental stewardship. Although we are a landscaping company, we strive to do things as environmentally conscious as possible. So when I've seen for the last 3 years and took an account to pesticides being used, pre-emergence being used, not coming out and taking care of the lawn properly. Just this last year, the leaves were mulched and Dexter Township residents were charged for that. They weren't picked up, they weren't cleaned up. This board also, not myself, I excused myself last voting year as well. But I mean, there was a growth inhibitor that was okayed through the board. Now, that growth inhibitor did nothing but weaken an already weakened lawn over at the cemeteries. And that is not doing any justice for the ground either, for erosion purposes. Just the cancer-causing agents that go in the ground. I mean, it wasn't prudent. There were other means, or let the grass grow around the headstones if that was a concern. But, I've sat here and I've done my best and I've just watched companies really just not perform. And the main thing that was a serious disappointment is seeing, okay, Dexter Township, the parking lot, the stairs and the handicap ramp are open to the public 24 hours a day. Perhaps the office is not, but the grounds are. And I would watch the snow accumulate and accumulate until right before morning. And then what I would witness is a company would come and put down an excessive, an obscene amount of salt, which salt is already terrible for the environment, to try and melt it down so they didn't have to bring the resources of people to clear that snow. Now, don't even get me started with over at the fire station. I drive by it all night long during that season, winter season. And when I was seeing the fire department not being taken care of, that's not just disrespectful. That could be a danger to our public service workers. And that building is open 24/7. So like I said, I'm not advocating, but I take it very seriously, not just as a taxpayer, but also as an elected official. And that's all I'm going to say about that. And being a small community, I could understand if we were Ann Arbor. But I mean, local takes a big factor to me as well. And I will not be performing the work on these properties. I'm going to keep an arm's length. But I just feel strongly advocating for not the person or the business that's doing it, but the quality and integrity of the job that needs to be done. Also with realizing that a lot of these estimates are very inflated, and I didn't see the estimates, nor would I look at the estimates. But I want to give a quick example. So I came prepared tonight with my stuff, so. For instance, I actually appreciated I believe it's the lawn rangers, for giving an estimate that was something that could be, concrete. This is how much it is per month. We can depend on it. We can, anticipate. I'm just going to round it off to $3,000 per month. But if you want to really look at 2024's winter season, that totaled $9,280. Last winter, 2025, or this previous winter, the budget came in at $17,626. And the reason being is the obscene amount of salt that was utilized. Now, let's just say most normal contractors in this line of work should range from 16,000 to 18,000 for the lawn care. And while I'm also a advocate for rain gardens and things of that nature, I'm also a realist where this is a public building and the excessive amount of ticks. And just to have a nice, clean looking township, I think, or public areas, that's important for the respect level. But if a budget comes in 16 to 18K for just the lawn care portion, yeah, and that particular company, the Lawn Rangers, comes in at, let's say, $36,000. He's estimating to charge the township $18,250 for snow. I'm also looking at not just the bottom dollar, but the integrity and the work ethic that will be put into the project. So I respect, however, the board, whatever trajectory you want to go. I just wanted to definitely give my opinion, as well as, and I will say my company goes above and beyond for the community. I mean, we are very community engaged. We're very active in the community. We perform a lot of community services. No one on this board likes the word styrofoam. I try to bring this to the township for us to really engage in doing something that,
Michelle, I'm going to ask you to get back to the,
okay,
to,
but was bigger than everyone anticipated. But the point is, you know,
But I think it's
I'm just
problematic
saying,
that
but
you're able
however
to
you
sit
want-
This is-
at a board
Okay.
meeting.
I understand, but I
and
mean,
plug- And
this is
plug your
just
company when the
to-
other companies aren't.
That's exactly why I
But I
tried to
understand.
stop before. I didn't
You
want
don't
to
need to be
interrupt what you had to
rude,
say.
but I
But I
understand.
think it's a conflict of interest for you to give that speech
Okay.
when all the other companies aren't here able to do that. That is part of the policy problem.
Okay.
That now we've had 3 or 4 minutes where none of the other companies have been able to give that.
But they
they-
were,
well, hold on.
But they
Yeah.
weren't called on either, were they?
Well, they,
if they were
It's-
here,
hold on,
It's inappropriate.
hold on. I understand.
it's
See,
okay.
I understand the, there was nothing that said that any of the companies could not have been here though, to do that either. I just want to make sure that I understand the point. But it's not like we didn't, it's not like we would not have let the other companies. I just want to make sure that that's clear. If folks showed up, that they would be able to talk about their bids as well. In the same way that we did with Waste Management. They were able to come and address the board. So I just want to make sure, and if that's a thing that people want to address, then we should certainly bring a policy forward. I'm not saying that I disagree or that I just want to make clear that there was nothing in this that said that they couldn't. Laura.
I just think that this is a built-in forum and that we shouldn't, if we're gonna allow companies to plug their businesses, that we should make that clear that that's gonna happen.
We should invite.
And we should invite them, and not exploit a public forum for it. And I don't think that's intentional, but I think that it could have that feeling to it.
And before this whole thing happened, I don't appreciate the plug. I just don't think it's appropriate to what we're doing. And I understand not being happy with companies' performances. I totally get that. And I think it is, if the lawn care falls under the clerk statutorily, and it's your job to manage that, then manage that. I just don't think it should be your company that you're managing. And I mean, I can cite, again, it sounds personal. It's not. It's about policy and performance. That when I started rebuilding the cemeteries, there were problems with the previous landscapers. There were problems that things weren't cleaned up. There were problems that things were mowed over. There were problems. And we can sweep all that under, but there were problems. And I understand not being happy, but that's the manager's job to get that fixed. If we had too much salt out there, that's the manager's job in the township to fix that, in my opinion. And I don't think you should be managing your own company. I just think ethically in conflict of interest, it's not appropriate.
I just want to address
I see.
the issues in managing the current company. So there are two separate things that we're talking about. The cemeteries are what fall under the purview of the clerk. I asked at the beginning of the new lawn care contract that I work directly with them, given the clerk's line of business outside of the township. And I just want to be very clear that our current vendor has been totally unresponsive. So I did contact them about the amount of salt. It didn't matter. I contacted them twice about the fire station not being prioritized. And in no instance did I even get the courtesy of a response email, just to make sure that the board is aware. So I also would not vote to support our current vendor, given the lack of response.
Salisbury,
Yes, that's Salisbury.
but they're the lowest, among the lowest scorers. So in other words, their score was poor.
Yeah,
So
they didn't,
what-
they didn't respond to the preference at all, and
Big-
their cost is not
Because the next
list.
highest bidder after Stimulus is Great Outdoors, and they scored a 41 total.
I believe it was a
I
40.
mean, a 49.
Yeah.
This one.
And it's Lawn Rangers that gives us a set monthly fee.
Yeah, the Lawn Rangers, I will say, just as we're talking about it, that was one of the perks to me, is that it is a set monthly fee regardless of how often they have to come out. And it's sort of a gamble, right? Because if we have a 2024 winner, we are going to be paying them a lot more than we would if we paid per push. If we have a 2025 or 2026, well, fiscal year 2026, this previous winter, then it probably saves us a little bit of money. So it's a hard thing to judge, but I did think that what I like about it is that it's predictable, that we know exactly what that cost will be for the winter services.
Easy to budget.
But that's, again, they were not even they weren't the second highest score either. So lots of things to consider.
Question, I see Bloom as the highest quote, but what I understand is, so cost and technical total was 28 out of 60, and it says minimum 30 required to advance to preference scoring. So why are they even in our packet?
Well, there were several groups that didn't even fill out the preference scoring. So you'll notice Bloom didn't get any preference points because they also didn't supply the preference materials. So regardless, we wouldn't have scored them because they were too low on
Okay.
cost, but they didn't supply it anyways. But I did a score sheet for every person that's in the packet.
Right.
Okay.
So like Salisbury didn't fill out the RFP preference either. So the score that you see there is just their cost and technical score.
I think we also have to note that that was not required of bidders.
That what wasn't.
That the preference sheet, your standard scoring, was not a requirement to bid to the township. It was a on and above.
Yeah, but that's what preference points are. You fill it out, you get extra credit, and
I agree.
it increases your likelihood of being selected.
And I will say, I just want to make sure, especially so that it's in the record, the staff did an amazing amount of work to even get us these 6 bidders. There were 29 companies that we reached out to. Of them, 6 submitted the bids. 10 responded. The other 4 responded that they weren't interested, for any number of reasons. Either they didn't have the staff, or it wasn't they couldn't do both sets of work, or whatever it was. So out of 29 companies, we ended up with 6 bids. And I know that this is it's a topic, not that I want to spill anybody else's business, but I know that it's a topic in other municipalities as well, that this type of work is becoming harder and harder to find. And lots of municipalities that were not happy with their current service this year.
It probably wouldn't be a bad idea either. Actually, it would be a very good idea to have reputable companies that are known, companies that have taken care of properties like this before, delicate companies that, need to have services and be very dependable, companies that have the realization that you have to purchase tons of salt pre-advanced. There was a salt shortage the last 2 years. Salt went from $180 a ton all the way up to $500 a ton. Properties were not being taken care of. And I will say that is the fault of the landscaper, because if you're going to take a bid like this, you need to know that you can do the work and get the work done, not inform your client, I'm sorry, there's a salt shortage. So that's another thing with excessive insurances, having people that are skilled that know what they're doing, and, having those funds to purchase 50 to 100 tons of salt. So the big manufacturers have that on standby for you to service your people. I'm just putting that out there. This is in my wheelhouse. So, definitely, and it probably wouldn't help if the board would have reached out to references of other, let's say, businesses versus residential homeowners, just because of the unique situation, especially being the fire department and having individuals walk up our stairs. Our notices are posted on the door in the glass bulletin. They always have to be clear, as well as those recycling bins.
So I think we need a policy, I was just thinking about, because we're going to be talking about strategic planning. And I'm a strategic planning consultant. That's my business and I get paid to do that. And I did it for the township and I didn't charge the township, and Rich is a musician. He plays at township events. He doesn't charge the township, so I just think we don't have a policy in place for how we're going to manage or oversee this. I hear everything you're saying, Michelle, and I think, well, who's going to oversee? You're right. We need somebody qualified to oversee the contractor, but it can't be you
But
because.
I'm not advocating for
Yeah.
myself at all, and I want to make that very clear.
So
When I brought up
understand, but-
styrofoam, I meant no disrespect to this board. Go ahead, sorry.
Well, I'm thinking that because we have to approve this, because we need this to start in a couple weeks, and we don't have a policy in place for how to manage this contract. I mean, clearly Stamble Ellis, they were the highest scorer by a long shot. I actually also believe that Stamble Ellis, I think they really care about the township and I think they do good work. So, and they would be cheaper. So on the one hand as well, this seems like the right choice perhaps in terms of quality of service and price, but since we don't have a policy in place and we don't have a method in mind for how to manage the contract, it feels too soon. It feels like we can't say yes right now. We need to do more work before we can say yes. And I wonder if we should do that work go with a different contractor like we have been for the last couple of years, not change what we've been doing, but then commit to having a policy in place before the next bid cycle. So that we're not talking about both the decision and the policy at the same time, which is, I think that's when things get
Messy.
and confusing, is when we don't have a policy and we're trying to talk policy and make a decision when we don't have a policy,
I happen to agree too. I think your company would probably do a fine job. I have no doubt
Fine.
about that, but I'm sorry, it's messy and
In particular, because under statute, the clerk manages this function, so it's really it's especially messy.
and if we do, yeah, it just is messy. And if,
I don't.
I don't-
know.
I don't
Other
wanna-
people-
Yeah, additional discussion?
Well, I mean, I understand we'd have to set a policy, but I think that if if in that vein, can the oversight of landscapers and snow plowers be put under somebody else's oversight, or does it have to stay under the clerk's?
That's what I don't know.
That would be
Familiar with the
developing a
statute.
policy.
It's not necessarily the land, it is cemeteries specifically are under the clerk's purview. So it's not necessarily the lawn and snow contract that is under any type of statute with the clerk. It's the maintenance of cemetery records and maintenance is in the clerk's office.
Question for trustee Nolte. The last company, they didn't prioritize the fire station for snow plowing. Yeah, but
Say their name.
I'm not saying their name.
Thank you.
Well, what I am curious is how did they do in the cemetery? Because I remember you were concerned about motorized trimmers,
In my opinion, the
nicking the
cemeteries
head.
never looked worse than last year.
Never
There
looked
were
worse than last
there were
year?
8-foot tall weeds, there were 6 feet tall weeds, they were horrible. I personally did not. I took some time off of my cemetery project for reasons that I won't go into, but I thought they looked awful last year.
But it's hard to know if that's because we didn't have our volunteer.
That's not what the volunteers were doing, but okay.
I think I think to that point in general, I don't think the fire station looked great most of the time.
It was a general thing.
Yeah.
You know,
Other discussion?
I agree with Karen. That we probably have to wait a year and get a policy in place and some mechanism that pertains to this. I mean, there's problems with it.
But it could be delegated.
Sorry, I mean, I
Go
would
ahead.
just also just like to say that, I mean, I agree with basically everything that everybody else has said in terms of we know that the job would get done well, would get done very local, would be above and beyond. I also hear, trustee Nolte's point where, you've always, said your thing about family. I can understand that too. But then we end up with this policy issue and the oversight, which is also there. So, I mean, there's lots there. But also when we, compare that to the next lowest bid that's there, regardless of points, just looking at raw numbers, can we put that out to the residents and say, oh yeah, we, spent an additional $8,318 because of X, Y, or Z. And that's.
I wonder, I mean, this may be kind of a crazy idea, but I wonder if we could use the price, the lawn care with Great Outdoors is actually cheaper than the Stamboulalis lawn care. And and the snow removal doesn't go through the cemeteries. So could we, I mean, I know we're not supposed to really be referring to with questions, but like, could we go with Great Outdoors for lawn care? And then we wouldn't have the issue of oversight and all of that, and then go with Stamboulalis for snow removal, which would mean more, less of the salt and all of that, and then the price would be the same, and because Great Outdoors Snow Services is the price difference.
Well, that would guarantee the fire
No.
department getting prioritized for snow plowing. And I'm just gonna put this out there. My company uses Stambulas for snow plowing and they do an amazing job.
And it would give us time to get the policy in place too.
Right, and I've never had to call them and ask them if they're coming. It's like, for 3 years now, I just know it's getting done. And I've never showed up and not had the We have a very long driveway at the office and I've never showed up and not had it plowed. They do a good job, so.
I think that's an interesting solution. I'm gonna ask, given the feedback from earlier, the clerk not to answer that question on behalf of her company while we're sitting at the table, but I will say that we originally had them as separate bids potentially. And so both of like, if you look in your packet, page 131 is the snow removal bid from Stambuelli's, and there is a separate mowing and lawn service bid from the Great Outdoors as well. They are separated into separate contracts. So I don't think we can definitively say yes on behalf of either of those companies if they would be interested if it was only one or the other, given that they both thought they were bidding on the full package. But I think it could be a possibility to have a conversation. I think we run a little bit of risk with that if they say no, that the lawn probably looks pretty bad by our May meeting. But it's a unique, it does solve the issue of the cemetery oversight piece, the statutory piece.
Is there any snow removal in the cemetery?
Karen had a question.
I had a
Oh,
question.
sorry.
I had a comment, but I don't want. I would make it in closed door, but I won't.
Okay. That is not an option for these, so any other discussion?
That we just approve a lawn service as a board. That we just approve a lawn service right now where or give the right to the supervisor to go back and say, can we just approve the lawn service right now and then address the snow after the fact? Just to get things mowing or going, not mowing, get things going, so we don't have a no mow May and we're 2 feet tall. I mean,
That's a good idea.
you know, and let's
Yeah.
move with half of it to get it going, and then we have a few months to resolve and do whatever.
And I will say, I mean, if it even makes it easier, I'll pull my bid. I mean, the earliest is June, to be able to set in stone the amount of salt that we need to buy and the amount of salt that probably all of these companies need to buy. So, I mean, I'm to the point where, I mean,
Get it?
and I'm not advocating for myself. I have made that very clear.
This gives us till June.
Hmm?
Gives us till June. Well, it gives us next month. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd make the motion to approve that, to give the supervisor. Well, first we'd have to approve somebody, whomever we vote for lawn service, to move forward and ask them if we can just engage in lawn service for the next.
Well, Great Outdoors is
Right.
is the highest scoring and lowest cost bidder.
Yeah.
For lawn services.
So you're making a
That's the
motion to approve?
Non-exciting.
Yes. So you're making a motion to approve outdoor,
Great.
Great Outdoors, whatever their name.
For lawn care. Are you making a motion? Or asking?
No, I'm asking you.
Well,
Yeah.
hold on,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm trying to do math, because it's a little bit of a different. Because I just want to make sure that we are being accurate in that, because the scoring included the overall cost for
Oh.
both. And so if you're only doing the 6 months, I just want to make sure that we're being fair to the lawn rangers that bid the set cost. That I think you're right. I think it will still be slightly more. But I want to make sure we have that number.
But I guess that's really only matters if any of us were actually considering their bid.
I like the Lawn Rangers. I like that it's a consistent bid. The guys from Dexter, I mean, it does have a,
Well, that's,
It's a funny name too.
It's about,
Yeah.
it's about $22,050 for just if we remove the snow removal piece. So it is correct. The lowest is still then great outdoors. If that's what we're looking at is
Can I give my perspective?
Are you giving your
Because we're
perspective
in-
as a landscaper on who the other landscaper should be? If so,
Can I-
I wouldn't think so.
No, again, seeing the quality of workmanship and the employees. I have seen great outdoors work and I would not discard them. They're a quality company. They're close to home. So as a public official and a resident, I look at those qualities and the amount of people they employ.
additional discussion, or I did not hear a motion earlier. I heard there was,
Oh.
there was a talk
There
about
was
maybe
a-
there was going to be one, but I don't.
If we're gonna pull Stan Willis's landscaping, the lawn care portion of the bid, then I think then too, she should also be able to vote. Because if you're gonna pull your the lawn care portion and we're only gonna vote on a lawn care portion. And we're not gonna deal with snow removal till next month, then I think that you should reinstate the ability to be able to vote.
Yeah, you never lose it.
Okay.
Well,
She bid on that.
She bid.
Bid on the.
But I just want to be clear, the conflict of it, hold on, the conflict of interest is self-declared. Like by statute, it is when I call the vote, if you abstain because you have a conflict, that's your choice as a member of the board. And technically, that's really, if you have a conflict, is the only time that you're really supposed to be able to abstain from a vote. But that is by the member themselves, by statute.
So can I make a motion? Do I make a motion that we authorize the supervisor to approach Great Outdoors and see if they will accept doing just the lawn portion of the RFP at this time, and then we'll come back next month with a snow plan, I guess? Is that-
So there's a motion, there's a motion to authorize the supervisor to approach Great Outdoors for lawn care only. And to see if they would accept the lawn care portion and then to address snow removal at our next meeting.
I don't really like that motion.
I don't
I think
either.
we should authorize.
Hold on, before no discussion. Is there a second? Okay, there's not a second on the motion. So now back to discussion.
Okay, I'll make a motion, we authorize the supervisor to sign a lawn care contract with Great Outdoors. And
Better.
we can make
Period.
another motion later about returning for snow care.
Okay, so now the motion on the floor is for the supervisor to sign a lawn care contract with the Great Outdoors
Just lawn.
for lawn care only.
I thought that's what.
Is there-
we're doing.
Is there a second?
Second.
You didn't say.
Okay, now, hold on. Now there's a second.
Oh,
It's been moved by trustee Sickinga, seconded by trustee Abbott. Now further discussion on the motion.
Whoa,
Oh,
gremlins.
sounds like animal.
I don't even see the trees moving though. It seems like it should have been wind. Any further discussion? All right, hearing none, we'll move into a vote. Because this is a contract, I'll call a roll call vote. Trustee Sickinga.
Yes.
Trustee Sanders.
Yes.
Clerk Stambuelis.
Abstain?
Treasurer Metz.
Yes.
Trustee Abbott.
Yes.
Trustee Nolte.
Yes.
And Supervisor Scott, yes. So the motion carries.
Now I want to make another motion.
Okay.
Make a motion to request the executive committee to propose a policy with respect to the contract, to the township contracting with relatives for services by the May meeting, and also return to the May meeting with with a proposal for snow services, snow plowing services. With a recommendation.
Okay, so the motion, sorry.
That's kind of too.
Yeah, the motion is for the executive committee to propose a policy for contracting with relatives
Relatives of
Family.
staff,
elected officials and committee members.
elected officials, and committee members. And then there was a second part to that?
And to propose a snowplow contractor that complies with that policy.
I'm gonna say that those have to be two separate motions. So the first motion is for the executive committee to propose a policy dealing with contracting by those related to staff, elected officials, or committee members. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by trustee Nolte. Discussion.
It's a lot to handle in 30 days.
I'm gonna say I don't like it because, well, but hear me out. Because the executive committee is like one member of the executive committee is directly involved. And I just feel like there are two other people on the board who have brought up the need for the policy that I don't want. I just feel like if we want to do a small committee, that's fine. I just feel like it needs to be at least one of you that have brought up the policy, the need for the policy, in my opinion.
Oh, be on the subcommittee? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Oh,
So I don't think it should be the executive committee, I guess is my point.
I can understand that, especially when 2 out of the 3 have, this already exists,
Yes.
not
I
outside of the.
I want to say I don't have concerns at all that either of them would not be able to do it in a non-biased way. I just think that the concerns were raised outside of that group, and the committee should include people who raised those concerns to make sure that they're addressed.
I'll raise my hand, but I'm gone next week.
So we've got we've got a motion on the floor.
Oh, we got to vote.
Okay, the motion's been withdrawn. Is the second withdrawn as well?
Yes.
Okay, so we no longer have a motion on the floor. Is there a new motion?
Yes, to establish a subcommittee to address the policy of hiring family of board members, workers,
And committee.
Public.
and committee members to form that subcommittee. I don't see that happening, and to present their findings to this board.
In May.
It's gonna be hard.
Well,
Okay, so there's a motion by Nolte to establish a subcommittee to propose a policy for staff, elected officials, and committee members, and the hiring or contracting with family members for the May meeting. Is there a second?
Yes, I'll second.
Seconded by trustee Sikkens. Any additional or any discussion?
So will this policy be crafted around discluding?
I'm sorry,
Oh, like.
around what?
Not
Excluding.
excluding, I'm sorry, yeah.
Oh,
Well,
well, that would be up for the committee to figure out.
and
And
I'm
then
just.
What's
curious
allowed,
because of
what's
the-
disallowed.
Hold on.
Oh, I'm
Go ahead. Finish your
No,
thought. And then
I
we'll-
was just-
I'll come to
I
you.
was, I am brain fog like crazy. I was just curious because of the RFP, not RFP, but policy that Supervisor Scott did craft, and we didn't include a nepotism policy into it. So that's just my question. I mean, I think it's a valid question.
Well, I think, first, I think the committee would research it and then bring it to the board for approval. But if I was going to do it, that I would look at other policies that are in place for other
Mhm.
townships or other municipalities and just base it on that, and it probably would be an addition. It probably would be just a paragraph similar to our board ethics,
Okay.
nepotism. And what it would be, I don't think we know yet.
I don't know what surrounding townships do necessarily. We'd have to research it.
Additional discussion? All right, hearing none, we'll move into a vote. So all of those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed, please say nay.
Is this to forming the subcommittee?
Yes.
Oh, aye.
Aye.
Okay, hold on, let's go back. We gotta make sure, we will have thoroughly confused AI, that's for sure. All right, so the motion on the floor was moved by Nolte, seconded by Sickinga, to establish a committee to propose a policy about contracting or contracting with the family of any staff, elected officials, or committee members, and to bring it forward to the May meeting. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, we'll move into a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say nay. So the motion carries.
Just want to point out that Joe mentioned he'd be willing to serve on a committee. Joe's like.
But I've watched Joe shake his head during the entire discussion.
Joe's like, no.
All right, now there was another, just moving us right along.
Judge, when you go to court on a separate issue, say, Mr. Smith, mediate it.
All right.
Because I didn't get down low enough.
There was a third motion, I believe.
Oh, to request the executive committee, I'll just say it and we'll see if Lonnie objects.
How about
To request the executive committee to propose a snow services contract no later than the June meeting. That would comply with the new policy.
That, 2 points to that. I don't like that.
Well, hold on, we'll get to, is there a second? There's not a second for that motion. Okay,
2 points because it wouldn't meet the June buy the salt deadline if landscapers have to buy their salt in June which I totally understand. The other thing is this board would have to approve that policy that comes from the subcommittee before the possibility of awarding a snow removal if a certain company is under consideration.
Well,
which we could do in one meeting.
Right,
We would just do them in order.
we can still try.
Yeah, we can make sure.
So I just think it has to happen in May, not June.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Just restate.
So
your
she-
motion.
so-
Well,
I mean, with May.
The only, and this is before we take any additional, I think what we probably need to do is for myself or Sam to reach out to the companies and see who would still be interested in snow removal only. And then my suggestion would be we just bring that back with these bids. No one's allowed to change their bid, right? Unless it's substantially different because it's snow removal only. Then we bring them all back to that meeting.
Yeah.
So I don't know that we need to propose a winner.
Yeah, maybe we don't need a motion.
Okay, is that the
Just-
consensus?
The
So,
snow remove is tabled until May. Basically.
so any further discussion about any of the lawn or snow removal before we move to the next portion of the agenda? All right, hearing none. We're moving on to discussion items. We have the strategic plan update on page 145 of your packet.
Yeah, so I realized that my write-up was a little confusing because I didn't specify in the summary. So I just have to find it and then I'll tell you. So first, big picture, we're very much on track, and the two things that we said we were going to accomplish in 2026, we accomplished. So that's great, and congratulations, everybody. And some of that was a lot of work. I think the welcome packet, the staff put quite a lot of work into. Obviously, single hauler has been in process for a very long time. And then everything else is, there's nothing red on there. Red is, and I'm looking at the color coded roadmap that we have. Red means we're not going to meet this deadline. We're not going to get this done. The yellows are just things that need to be maybe tweaked a little bit or discussed. And the blues are potential additions. So I'm just gonna go down the roadmap itself, not through the write-up. So the first recommended addition is something that we've had over the years from time to time, resolutions that are simply policy statements or statements of preferences on the part of the board. And there was no framing for that in the strategic plan. And so we have two of those this month that we're going to discuss. One is about LGBTQ rights. One is about ICE. And I felt like it might be useful just for us to have some way to frame that or some reason to bring those forward, some strategic reason to bring those forward. And so I suggested that we just have a strategic planning goal that says consider resolutions to position Dexter Township on policy matters facing our citizens at the local, state, and national level, which I felt was consistent language with the strategic plan itself.
Are you adding that under good government?
Yeah, under communications.
Oh, under
Because
communication.
I really think that's just serving a communication
Yeah.
function to our township. It's just a policy position. That's the
Mhm.
purpose of it. Under community enrichment, Karen and I think Sam have talked about ways that, the Metro Parks Pass program is something that we're doing in lieu of a parks department. And it's much more cost efficient than running a parks department. But we felt like now that we're giving, tens of thousands of dollars to the Metro Parks every year, that there may be some opportunities to negotiate with them for enhancements in their services. So I wanted to have that in there because I think when you enter into those conversations, it's helpful to be able to say this is part of our strategic plan, or this is a goal in our strategic plan.
It's leverage.
I have a couple of ideas because I use Hudson Mills a lot, and so I have some ideas, but I don't want to mention them out because we haven't approached them with the Metro Parks. Next thing, improved cell coverage. I flagged that as a yellow because I'm not sure, Lonnie, that we're gonna be able to do that. And I wondered if we wanted to keep that in there as a
But
item.
shouldn't it stay just for future? I mean.
That was my thought.
Yeah.
It's still a goal and we're trying. I mean, Fletcher, I met with a consultant last year at MTA. Fletcher has reached out to them. There's just not movement because the cell companies just aren't interested. And I mean, Verizon did actually a lot of work to try to find a suitable location for a new tower and just could not find a resident that would allow them to use their land in the areas where it would have worked. So
Do we know those areas? Have we?
yeah, when I was a trustee, I brought a map. And we had specific parcels and areas that we looked at. Island Lake Road, and by Riker, that end of the township is one of the biggest dead zones, Riker area there, even the fire station. And so we even looked at trying to place it at Multi Lakes or at the fire. And
There's too many trees or something.
yeah, it wasn't going to work. But they did approach 5 or 6 residents to ask them if they could place one on their property, and we're told no. So we're continuing to work on it. It's not a dead issue, and I think it should stay. I mean, I would love for us to be able to say we completed every item on our strategic plan in 4 years, but if we fall short on some, I think we should be transparent about that.
I think it's nothing wrong with putting out to the community once in a while, hey, we're still working on this. Anybody willing?
Yeah.
Times
Okay.
change.
Yeah. Sorry.
And it is for the whole, it's not like we're falling behind exactly. It was just like, wow, are we really gonna be able to do this? Okay, so next recommended change on the roadmap was Lonnie and, Sam and not Lonnie, but Sam and Fletcher and I met with Washtenaw 2030 to talk about decarbonizing basically the town hall. And we realized, again, even though environmental stewardship is a priority, the three of us realized that environmental stewardship section of the roadmap is not really very fleshed out. And one of the items on there is establish a waterway committee, but we three felt that there was a lot more than just waterways at stake here. So we thought convening an environmental stewardship committee and then having that environmental stewardship committee flesh out the roadmap a little bit with an ex officio staff member on it. Sam would like to serve to help us prioritize, and that could encompass like some of the things we talked about with Washtenaw 2030 and the rain garden idea that Fletcher had. And then maybe that group will recommend establishing a waterways committee or maybe not, so that's why I put the waterways in yellow, because it seemed like a group of people needed to get together and really talk about environmental stewardship and what our priorities are there. So that was that change. We already talked about private roads. I only put it in yellow because, I've said we might be asking the local roads committee to change its charge a little bit to encompass private roads. Amending the zoning ordinance to enhance community benefits for new developments. Fletcher just hasn't started on that one yet. He's aware of it. So that's just flagging for Fletcher that that's something he needs to start working on, or at least we had targeted to begin working on this year. Okay, next one is we had in there, I can't remember what the specific language was, but something like, all the trustees are going to improve their committees, basically. It was very broad and very unspecific and diffusion of responsibility because it was assigned to all of the trustees instead of an individual trustee. So I thought we should probably delete that one. And instead, next quarter, when we do this update, I'll be asking all of you if you have any specific action items you would like to accomplish for the committees that you're assigned to. And then we'll replace that one that we deleted with any specific action items you have for your various boards and committees. I mean, Lonnie and I already have a few in here for the fire board, but we may want to have one for, WWRA or Multi-Lakes or CACA or something. And I think that will work better for a roadmap than this broad one. Local roads committee, again, we already talked about. So that's what I'm recommending. And if you guys remember, we didn't actually adopt this by an action of the board. It's just more of just general discussion. So that was my conclusion. And thank you, everybody who responded and gave me updates on your action items. And you can see you can see we're a very, very active board and we've gotten a lot done just in the last quarter. Board and staff. As I know Sam and Fletcher have done a lot. So any comments or discussion?
I have a question. Would the development of a tree ordinance go under the establish an environmental stewardship committee?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to bring that to the attention of the board.
Yeah.
To develop a tree ordinance.
Yeah, I think it should, I mean, I have a lot of ideas, but I think the big categories are natural features, which are things like trees, protection of biodiversity, and decarbonization basically are the big categories. And I think we should have action items under those.
So we're not voting on this, but this is.
No, I'm just looking for feedback and
I like your additions I think they're great. I like the first one, especially too. Considering resolutions that matter to our citizens, our, variety of citizens. So, yeah.
I like this to broaden out the environmental and make subgroups. There's just so much that falls under that.
Additional feedback or discussion?
But you guys now, I think this gives everybody an idea of what we're doing. We're just looking at it and saying, are we on track and do we need to change anything? And, making sure that the strategic plan doesn't get dusty in a drawer. about you, Lonnie? Did you have?
No, I like it. My only feedback was I thought we shouldn't delete the
Yeah.
things that we may not get to. We should just keep striving to do them and be honest if we don't get there. Also making sure everyone noticed we made it pretty.
Yeah, I was just looking at the beautification of it.
We tried to make it
Bonnie
a,
did that.
Yeah.
a living document.
Looks nice.
So if anyone has any changes, just let me know. Any other feedback for Karen? All right. Nope.
Very proud of our township. I mean, I think we really get a lot done for a township of our size and with our budget size and with our staff size. I think
I think we've come so far in 5 years or 4 years, 2 years.
We can pat ourselves on the back.
yeah.
Yes. A lot of great work happening, that's for sure. And people do recognize it. I think that's a good thing to say here too is, I attended the county's 200-year celebration, the very first state of the county address, and folks are asking questions about the stuff we're doing. It's no longer just, Webster Township that's copying our homework. It's there are other places that are noticing the actions of the board. So that's a testament to this board, all of our volunteers, all of our committees, and our other boards as well. It's the township. We are very lucky, I think, to have very active folks in all of those roles.
Also, the county support. I mean, we have very good county support,
And our committees, I mean, look
Yeah.
at look
I
at
mean,
our
we really
committee
do.
members that are sitting here in the
Yeah.
Watershed Council. I
We
mean,
have really good.
Even when they don't look happy.
yeah.
I'm just kidding. The camera can't see you, so we get to pick on you. All right, we're moving on. Fertilizer ordinance.
Does that happen in the
Uh-oh.
IT? Does the camera swing?
Only when they're at the mic, is it? All right, fertilizer ordinance is page 167 of your packet. This is our chance for discussion. It will come as an action item at the next meeting. I do want to say Fletcher is sorry that he's not here today. If you have questions, please reach out to him. Tonight was his wife's birthday, and he asked if he could skip our meeting today to take her to dinner. So I felt that was an okay reason to not be here today. And if you have questions, he is more than happy to set up calls or to talk with you directly. And I know David is here as well. So we will open up discussion on the fertilizer ordinance. Any questions?
Go ahead.
Well, I mean, there was a member of the public wrote to us and suggested a bigger, instead of 50 feet, 100 feet or something.
From the
So,
waterways?
Do you have, how did you
I haven't heard
pick the 50?
Karen, can you?
Good.
We haven't. heard
I
that.
don't think I got anything from somebody that
Tom Eman didn't.
I don't believe I've seen.
Oh, yeah, it was last month's board packet. Tom
Yeah.
gave me that. sheet.
Oh, yeah.
But was
Yeah.
it 100 feet?
Yeah, I thought Tom Eman said 100 feet.
I thought he
wanted-
was talking corners and stuff.
Well, anyway,
Yeah,
let's,
you're right.
let's see, how do we come up with the 50?
Hi, David.
Yeah.
Hello. Got a happy face on right now. No, so the basis of this is predicated on what Hamburg Township adopted 23-24. So Paul Steen from our staff worked with Pat Hall and they put it together, and that's where the 50-foot marker came from basically. And that's what we've taken forward into each of the 4 townships that we're working with. So just so you know, Linden Township passed their fertilizer ordinance last month. It's now in effect. Putnam and Unadilla will approve their ordinances next month in May. Unadilla is more of a unique situation because they're updating all of their zoning code in one fell swoop. So it's taken a few months, but that's okay. That's part of the process. So we're working with Carlisle Wortman on this project. And then we're also working internally about a riparian education campaign to talk to all the folks on the lakes and the rivers with information from all the 4 townships about what the ordinance is and best practices and so forth. And the gentleman in the office or in the audience mentioned enforcement. It's in the ordinance because why do an ordinance if you don't have an enforcement mechanism, right? But we hope that education will be the way to tackle these issues and really educate the riparians about what's what. So you're free to change whatever you want. I will say Linden Township move back from a May 1st to an April 1st deadline. So so the restriction on applying fertilizer, if you're on a riparian, is November 15th to April 1st in their community. So I just wanted to make you aware of that. If you want to keep May 1st or move it back, that's your choice. If you want to keep 50 feet or extend it to 100 feet, that's your choice. We looked at doing this in Scioto Township, but they already have an overlay district for 100 feet back setback from the water. So a fertilizer ordinance really isn't useful in Scioto Township because they're already protecting 100 feet from the river and the water's edge. So hopefully that answers the question. Where Paul and Pat got the 50-foot marker back 3 or 4 years ago before I joined the staff, I don't know. That's just what they came up with and settled on.
It's in our setback, basically, on our lake. It's 50 feet. If you go closer than 50 feet, you have to get a variance on our waterways.
So David, do you think 100 feet would be, do you agree with our resident who thinks 100 feet would be better?
It's not bad. I mean, the further you can get away from the waterfront and the river, the less that's going to run off into it.
What if we use that, some of that footage? I believe this, it's not that I don't believe in the ordinance, I do, but I think the key to it is education.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
I think the key to it is rain gardens,
Mhm.
to get people filtering their water through the rain gardens. I had you guys come out to my house recently and they were shocked that we built our house 15 years ago and we have rain gardens. And they're like, why did you put in rain gardens 16 years ago? I go, because Bill Gajewski said to, like. Bill Gajewski was the guy on the board that was water, water, water.
Yeah.
And when we come to our environmental committee, we don't really have a Bill Gajewski right now. He was really adamant about water.
Bill was a smart guy. He got
Yeah, he got
Better than-
he got it way ahead of time.
way ahead of time than
Way ahead of
everybody
time.
else, yeah, across the state. Yeah.
But I think education is key. And I like the 50 feet because it stays with our setback. Tell you the truth. And some of our lots aren't very deep on the lake.
Any additional questions or discussion? I know there were some questions before about the impacts on some of the farmers or agricultural, but
Yes.
I think most of that is addressed.
Most
but-
of that's addressed. Agricultural lands are exempt from this ordinance because they're already covered by the Right to Farm Act here in the state of Michigan. So they work with MDARD and Eagle on that already. So we had that same question in Linden Township back in March and answered it, and it's to the farmers' appreciation. So they are exempt from this ordinance. So it's really only on riparians on the lakes and the river.
I did get a phone call from a farmer and farmers talk to farmers.
Oh,
So I
they do.
appreciated hearing this because he gave word back to the farmers and I did confirm it with our supervisor during a meeting because I wanted
Yeah.
to make sure that it was in here.
I
And-
don't want to tackle farmers.
No,
No, that's just, they've got their own rules they got to work with the state. That's enough.
they do.
Yeah.
And they follow them.
Oh, they do.
I would also say, I am, how do I say it correctly? I would be for, the 100 feet setback. Just in the event that someone has a larger plot, the more runoff from fertilizers that you can keep out of the lake. It was challenging to vote not too long ago to have to put chemicals into the lake because of the runoff that is happening and does happen. And for some reason Roundup is still on the shelves of your
Yeah.
standard store. So I wouldn't be opposed to the 100 feet, even if current setbacks are only 50 in some locations.
Well, to me, that's the board's call. We're just making a recommendation based on what Hamburg did and give you the opportunity to tweak it if you so choose to.
I think if, I don't know, have any of you guys gone to Portage Lake? It's not Portage Lake, it's the HR Cola now. Their association. I mean, when you talk about enforcement, it's their residents. They are way ahead of the rest of the lakes in Dexter Township. Portage is way ahead and they're way ahead in educating their residents, and they self-police because of this issue. And that's where I think it just comes into education and why I'm pro waterways, because we need to duplicate what they've done and take it to Silver and to North and Half Moon and 4 Mile, all of them.
And we are keeping that, at Shannon Lakes in the loop on this
Right.
process, so they're
Right.
aware of where we're at.
And I will say that Sam and I, in producing the newsletter, I don't know if you've noticed, but one page of the newsletter now always goes to water issues. We kind of figure 30% of our population lives on water. And so we've kind of donated one page of the newsletter. Last time it was about nutrient loading. The one before that was about rain garden. So we'll keep the education process moving forward. So
Okay.
it's
Not
about
to go too
education.
far on a tangent, we are working on legislation with Senator Singh's office, a bill that just passed the Senate this afternoon that would allow us to do an inland lake TIF and river, a tax increment finance authority, like a DDA, but for the lake itself.
Really?
And to do
Just
shore-
water, huh?
shoreline restoration, de-armoring, lake management plan, invasive species, stormwater issues. So the bill came out of the Senate today, 25-10, and now it goes to the House.
What's
So,
that bill number?
Senate Bill 553,
5-3.
Yes,
This is
ma'am.
for any lake?
any lake in Michigan.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's huge.
that's something
That
I've
would
been
be
working
good.
on for about a year and a half at the watershed.
Really cool.
So we've got a statewide coalition of the MTA, MML, Michigan Association of Counties, Ducks Unlimited, Trout Unlimited, Michigan Lakes and Stream, Tip of the Mid Watershed, Nature Conservancy are all on board. So it's been,
She's doing an education process. Now, I know I should know this. I'm on that frickin' board, but I think it's just starting with multi-lakes.
yes, we are
Wait.
doing that. Dan Brown and Pam Lamberty are working on that project because there's PFAS and
Okay,
multi-lakes.
it's about PFAS. Okay, yeah,
Yeah, I think we have a contract we're getting signed with
Yeah.
them right now. We have grant funding to do.
right.
So,
Yeah, I didn't want to.
which is interesting because PFAS normally
comes.
comes from manufacturing, but with multi-lakes, there's not a lot of manufacturing contributing to that system. So it's coming from residential at some point.
Yeah.
Question is where and what?
I
Yeah,
did sign,
huge challenge.
did sign up Dexter Township to be a partner for Clean Streams for Washtenaw County, which entitles us to some assistance with putting in rain gardens and gives us some guidance on environmentally friendly practices.
Will,
Any additional, sorry, go ahead.
will that question get answered about where the PFAS is coming from in multi-lakes?
That's a good.
That's a.
I don't know the particulars of the case, but I know they want to explore where it may be coming from.
We do know one,
We do know.
we do know one source. It's in my report that
Yeah.
we'll get to, but the fire station has a higher level
Of hits.
of hits, and they actually think it's still residential in nature, but from the showering, the
Cleaning of the.
cleaning of the office, the floors, those things, because they don't use PFAS materials even in their trainings. They use like Dawn dish soap when they're practicing with foam.
And I think we should really make the decision. These are hits in wastewater.
Wastewater,
Not
yeah.
drinking.
Not
water.
It's in wastewater, yeah.
It's
only wastewater.
So it's coming into multi-lakes.
Right,
Multi-lakes is testing clean and then we're getting it in the effluent. So
right.
it's coming in to us and it's strictly wastewater, has nothing to do with drinking water. So.
Yeah, very
public-
important
yeah,
distinction.
Yeah.
Yeah, very
Yeah,
important
yeah,
distinction.
That's-
Very important distinction.
Don't want to get.
I'm gonna get us back on track.
Yeah.
Anything else for the fertilizer ordinance?
Well, I just wonder, this question of 50 or 100 feet, is there guidance from the board on, for Fletcher about whether you all prefer 50 or 100 feet? I know Karen prefers 50, Michelle prefers 100. I prefer 100, full confession. Is there other?
I think if everyone's okay with it, I think we can ask Fletcher that question and see if there's something if there's a reason in our current ordinance that 50 was selected or if 100, and let him we could have that, make that decision at the next meeting when we're deciding
vote on
on
it.
passage.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Yeah, I mean, because what we can do is if, I don't know if you've take any votes during discussion topics on the agenda, but we can work with Fletcher and our contact at Carlisle Wortman to make the tweak to the ordinance and bring it back as because what we have now is our second draft, bring it back as a third draft for final approval. So we just need any direction from the board, which way you'd like to go.
Great.
Cool.
Because I mean, technically, and quote me or correct me if I'm wrong, but this ordinance would, reflect fertilizers on lakes, on any water body.
Yes, ma'am.
So lakes,
River.
river, what pond?
Yes.
Well, I mean, we have a
Wetlands.
large spring-fed pond in our front yard, and I know I don't use fertilizers, and I know there is a culvert that goes across the street into a farm field, and that thing fills itself up daily, all day, and probably dumps, I don't know, a couple thousand gallons a day. So that's why 100 feet just sounds like a good idea, on top of we're on a hill, so it just literally sheds right
Down the
down.
hill. Yeah.
I also recommend that when we do this, or if and when we do this approval, that much like when we instituted single hauler, we sent every vendor a notification that this has happened. I think we send every lawn service, not lawn services, but the chemical, where they True Green, and there's a gazillion of them around, that they get a letter that this is a new ordinance of Dexter Township for informational purposes.
So what I'm hearing is we'll ask Fletcher to look into and bring a proposal for either the 100 or the 50 to our next meeting.
Great.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
The next item for discussion is the trunk or treat and township movie night. I've talked about this a little bit, had it in my report previously. We used to do the outdoor movie night. It was really difficult to do in the summer because of the weather. So I think both times we got rained on, and that subdued folks coming out. And in discussions, talked about the potential for doing a trunk or treat in the parking lot. I personally, this is just probably too much disclosure, but Halloween is my absolute favorite holiday. Love to decorate, love to do all of that. So would love to be able to do that. Also, we are a very rural community, and I know that when my kids were little, we had to go somewhere else, right? And thought this would be a good opportunity again for some community engagement. So the idea would be to have the trunk or treat out in the parking lot, and then use the downstairs area that we have renovated but not used much, to show a family-friendly Halloween movie that evening as well.
I'll bring the hats.
All the hats.
So it is an evening?
Yeah.
Okay, can I make in the coordination of Dexter Township and Hudson Mills Metro Parks theory, they have a trunk and treat. Metro Parks has a trunk and treat that last year they invited us to attend, but it was just,
Last minute, yeah.
it was too much going on and we didn't do it. That, should we look at examining it over there and doing something over there? I think you'll get more kids, you'll get more publicity. I mean, it's a big
movie in there. Could they have their little?
I'm sure that, that's something we can pitch, but there's gonna be a lot more people over there than we can pull to our parking lot to park and it would be another coordinated effort with Hudson Mills.
They do movies over there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to check with them as well.
I don't know what day theirs is. Can't remember when it was.
It's usually the same day that we have the trash cleanup.
Yeah,
day.
cleanup day. That's my only.
Trash cleanup day one weekend.
Earlier,
So-
yeah.
So it's possible, the coffee chat is October 24th, but that's a morning thing, so just throw that out there. If you're doing evenings, then there would be no conflict.
Okay. And that's why cleanup day is the 17th, right? So that's why I avoided that one.
I just thought we'd get more play.
Yeah, so I'll,
You can put up banners, you can.
yeah. Before next meeting, I'll try to reach out to the Metro Parks and see if we can get
Reach
more
out to
information on
Chamber.
theirs. Okay. Great. The next item for discussion is page 174 in your packet. It is the FOSP request for purchase of a conservation easement and an expenditure of $231,200 from the conservation millage. And Clerk Samuelis, anything you would like to discuss?
No, it's a beautiful piece of property, consistent with farm fields, woods, wetlands, and water frontage. Currently, everything's in here. The Greenbelt Commission, of course, per the city council approval, has offered 30% of the appraised value of $578,000. I mean, everyone can read it. But, and also NATAC, which is the Natural Area Technical Advisory Committee of Washtenaw County Parks, they'll match that 30%. Those are the two grant funding mechanisms that have came in, which is why the total would be $231,200. And I just wanted to bring it to the board for a first touch. We have not spent much of our dedicated millage. The board making the recommendation believes that, as well as I do, we need to start utilizing those funds towards purchasing conservation easements and protecting our open space.
Any questions? And I will say we skipped the report step of this, just given that we talk a lot about conservation easements, and this is a very specific request. So we didn't want to bring it as an action item directly to you for that amount of money to give you an extra month to look at it, but we will consider it at the next meeting, even though it technically will only be step 2.
Where is it, Michelle?
Page 174.
No, but
Oh, where's the land? Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
It's on Dexter.
On Riker
Pink-
Road.
Oh, sorry.
it's on right.
You can't see.
Yeah, we don't say the
We
specific
don't say.
parcels
Yeah.
until we have it on.
Just
Yeah.
put the road down. She has to
Yeah.
put it out.
So we can
It's on a natural beauty road.
get it to you though, Karen. We can get you the actual parcel. We just don't
Yeah, I had.
disclose those
mine
publicly
too.
until negotiations are done. All right, next item is the Multi-Lakes Water and Sewer Use Rules and Regulations Amendment. You'll see here, that's on page 175. The change is around rates and charges for authority services, and now would explicitly state that commercial businesses include short-term rental units and bed and breakfasts. That's a change that Multi-Lakes is asking each participating municipality to review and approve. And so this is our second touch of this item. It will also be back next month for approval. It lists me as the person on here probably because Kathleen sent me the
Yeah, I was gonna
letter.
say, she
But if
sent-
anyone has questions, I will refer them to Karen.
I think it's pretty straightforward. It's just making short-term rental and bed and breakfast, designated them as commercial properties, because there's different regulations for commercial property versus residential property. So it's just changing that classification. So Multi-Lakes can ask for meters and things like that to register the waste that is moving through those units. And why short-term rental shouldn't impact us. Multi-Lakes has 5 municipalities that.
Sure. Any discussion or questions?
I just wonder, so would people's costs would go way up, right?
No, not at
Oh.
all. It
Oh.
just gives, it's not really going up. It just gives more regulation to monitor what's happening in that home. And especially when it comes to our vacuum system of our sewer system, that high flow rates on the vacuum system, which is Unadilla out that way, creates havoc to the system, high water.
Any additional questions or discussion? All right, hearing none, we'll move into our staff and township committee reports. Is there anyone who would like to highlight items in their report?
Township was reimbursed for the WISD election. That was in my report.
WISD election reimbursement came in. All right. Anyone else? Anything you'd like to highlight from your reports? All right, hearing none.
I would like to highlight from Karen's report or from Sam's report that there were no complaints about the single
Yeah,
hauler.
I was gonna give a
Which-
speech on that at the end.
Yeah,
Yeah, comments for,
We're like, great.
yeah, anyone else highlighting items from their report? All right, we also have our data and performance metrics from the sheriff's and fire department. Actually, the sheriff's department wasn't in. Typically, we get those after the meeting and we'll send those out if we get one this month. We'll now go to our second call for public comment.
Joseph Stevens, 7905 Sour. I noticed that there are two resolutions. One is a resolution opposing use of township buildings and face coverings by immigration and customs enforcement ICE officers, customs and border protection officers or their contractors during civil immigration enforcement activities. Has any consideration been given to the fact that ICE may show up at our elections?
I can,
wait, don't we?
Oh,
take it?
No,
We can't-
this is not a
we
question
can't-
and answer.
yeah.
sorry, we can't answer it.
So I would suggest that you would maybe include something in your resolution about ICE showing up at elections.
Can I make a comment about this resolution?
Section 13 on the agenda is comments from board members, so you sure can.
I can back up
Yeah.
to,
In just a second. As soon as we're
okay.
done with public comment.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that would be my, for your information.
Jot your note down, Laura.
And I think it's important because it sort of ties into the second resolution affirming the township's commitment to equal treatment, non-discrimination, community inclusion. I would support as a citizen both those resolutions. I don't know what the status of them are, but this is important stuff, and I would support it wholeheartedly because it's just good. So those are the only two comments I have.
Thank you. Any additional public comment?
David Steinauer, 7301 Webb's Landing. Just the fireworks, North Lake fireworks, you might see two of them. There should be two, I believe.
There were
Okay.
two. Yeah.
If there's questions, I certainly have more information about one. It's my partner that's doing the second one, but I can try to help with that if you need to.
Thank you.
Does he
Thank
know
you.
they've been approved?
Yeah, they were approved in the consent agenda.
I didn't know if you had any questions on mine.
Oh. It said in the paperwork.
All right. Any additional public comment? All right. Hearing none, we'll now move into other issues, comments, and concerns of board members and staff. I'm just going to go down the line. Trustee Sickinga.
Yep.
Trustee Sanders.
I just wanted to comment on the resolution opposing the use of township buildings and face coverings by immigration. It's a big, long title, so I won't say it all, but elections, because they are a part of this municipality, because they happen here, are covered under this. And we had this language looked at by the University of Michigan Civil Rights Legal Department, which you will probably appreciate. And so there was some tweaking of language. There's some things that are sensitive. And this was modeled similarly after the Washtenaw County resolution, but some things were tweaked by this legal department, or advised by this legal place, so.
Or townships?
Yeah,
The
well,
towns
for
with the-
townships, but also, I just wanted to really clarify that elections happen here, and therefore this is about what happens here in this building and any other buildings that are owned by the township.
Clerk Sambolis.
I fully support the
The long
the upcoming resolution. Absolutely, 100%. I am concerned that it could become a bullseye with encouraging individuals to then come to Dexter Township. But I'll just say every American has the right to exercise their right to vote. This is and should not be intimidated. So am I concerned? Absolutely.
Treasurer Metz, trustee Abbott, trustee Nolte.
Oh crap, I got two things. The 5-year-long project of broadband that we thought was dead in March is not dead. Poor Tanglewood Trail is not hooked up yet due to Parsippany resident and concerns over wetlands. So that is continuing. So we'll have 13 houses that are not connected. The Washtenaw County is actively working on it, Spectrums, and thank God, I just found out this week, we have a resident over there that he built his house and he had to have a wetland study done. So he's giving us his wetland study. So please keep your fingers crossed. I just want that to be done. And then the second thing is, thank you to the office staff and to Sam. The single hauler project yesterday or today was our 3rd week. It is going extremely well in our weekly meetings with waste management. We're all going, where's the shoe? Like we're waiting for the shoe to fall and the shoe hasn't fallen. This week, the survey went live on the website to find out where the remaining trash cans are. That once we know where they are and how many we have tentative plans how to get them out of the township, but we will formalize that and remove those old trash carts that are out there. But it's gone very well so far. And thank you, Waste Management has been so nice to work with and attentive to our requests, so.
Yay.
Yeah, so.
And I'll go quickly. A couple of things. I just want to make sure that everyone knows. Michelle Fiesel is out of the office for a little while. I think the board probably knows for a couple months dealing with a medical issue. So Beth will be covering in the office during that time. But definitely a big thank you to all of the staff who have been working through the lead up to the launch of single hauler for sure. We've received a lot of really positive feedback. Lots of residents that are giving feedback about lots of different things, not just single hauler. And so really proud of the work that the board and staff are doing for sure. I also just want to mention, just so that the board is aware, we started earlier, obviously, honoring Lois. Wanted to let everyone know that there is a viewing happening this week, and on behalf of the township, we will send a small thing of flowers as well, recognizing her as a volunteer. I just wanted to make sure that everyone was notified about that. And then finally, I just want to thank everybody. We tend to, as we get these big packets, get a ton done in these meetings. And so I know that it's a lot to work through, and that often it seems to me that it's the months when we don't know that it's going to be packed. Like we know when single hauler or when we're doing the budget or those things. And sometimes I know y'all get a packet and probably go, oh my gosh, this is 260 pages. So thank you everybody for being attentive and looking through everything. That's what I like most about our board is we are, really, really active. And I think that's why, because I do appreciate that everyone reads the packets before they get here. It helps us move a little bit faster. And the last thing I'll say, just so everyone knows, is Sam is also out this week at the Michigan Townships Association Conference. She has sent me pictures from some of the activities that she's been in. And it seems like it's going very well so far. So that's it for me.
Nice.
Janice, did you have anything? All right. With no further business, I will declare the meeting adjourned at 8:19.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You almost want to clap at the end.
That was very nice. I would too, if I wanted something from my board.